So one time when I was living in downtown LA on 6th and Gladys, I got really high on methamphetamine. I was a smoker. So, the story goes, I had sold everything in my house, and all I had left was a refrigerator. So I sold it to a bitch named Cece, who had a boyfriend who was a blood. Well, they were living in a tent in downtown LA in Skid Row on the street. But they had a lavish tent and they wanted to put a refrigerator in it and hook it up to the power line street light, if you know what I mean. So they hooked it up to the street light and it blew out. And I know it blew out. Well, anyway, the story goes, I sold it for 1 gram of methamphetamine. And I did it all. Now, they blew the refrigerator out from trying to hook it up, and she wants her money back. So she tried to accuse me of, or claim that I owed her the money, and I didn't want the refrigerator back because they blew it out. And she tried to say I did it. So anyway, they decided they were going to send somebody up to my room to steal it. So they sent up a prostitute that I knew. And she stole my phone. So I pretended that I didn't know while I was in the shower. So I pretended like I didn't know. And I see her again because she left. And I see her again. And I asked her if I could use her bike that Cece sold her. So she said, yeah. I borrowed her bike and I rode it 8 blocks away to the Mexicans and I sold the bike for some more methamphetamine. About an 8-ball. I did it all. Now, next thing you know, Cece and her blood boyfriend are mad. Cece and Cobb. Cobb was the blood. So they were mad. So one night, Cobb decides to knock on my door and come in my room with a gun. He pointed the gun at me and he said, if I don't pay the money back, he's going to shoot my ass. So he went outside of my room to make sure nobody was in the hallway, and I snuck out the fire escape. I snuck and slid down the fire escape or down some pipe because the stairs were too high from the floor, so I climbed down. I couldn't let the ladder down, so I slid down some pipe, fell, and jumped the fence and got the fuck out of there. So I'm running down the street, paranoid and high as fuck, and I see a guy laying on the floor, and there's a bike next to him. He's getting some sleep in the sleeping bag, and I'm like, Rain. It was my friend Rain. I said, what happened? So he says, oh, I just got out of the hospital. I said, can I use your bike? It's an emergency. He said, no, man. I just got out of the hospital. I had surgery on my knee, and I can't walk. So I'm like, I'm sorry to hear that. So I jumped on the bike, and I rode away. I said, sorry, man. It's an emergency. And I rode my bike all the way down to, from downtown LA, all the way down to Manchester and Crenshaw. That's what happened.